Hello everybody and welcome back to the John Schofield Trust Podcast, a space for early career, aspiring and working journalists to get advice and insights into the industry. I'm your host, Bethany Lee, an early career journalist and 2024 Fellow of the Trust, and today we have another Minisode. In these episodes, we collect voice notes from working journalists to get their top advice for our mentees. And this week we have a bit of a mixed bag, but it's all about building confidence and contacts, from how to develop and trust your editorial judgment to the best way to reach out to the journalists that you admire. So let's get into it, starting with presenter, reporter and founder of the Broadcast Institute, Paul Connolly.
In my earlier days as a journalist, I was known playfully and anecdotally as the polite badger. Just after I'd finished all of my free, unpaid, excruciating volunteer period at the start of my journalism career. So I'd knocked on basically every door in Dublin at the time, radio stations, newspapers, TV stations, and finally 98 FM, a local station in Dublin, had decided to let me walk through that door, and they let me work weekends at first. I got there at 5:30 in the morning, left there at 5:30 at night, worked hard, said yes to everything within reason. I always said if I was unsure of something, I'm not quite sure how to do that, but let me go and figure it out, which I think is one of the main reasons why I've had success in my career, because I've focused on the solutions rather than the problems. So after that period of time finished, that was about 18 months, I decided that I was going to look for a full-time job or a freelance position. And I put a show reel together and I put together an audio reel. And I sent it to every production house and company in Ireland and every production house and company in the UK. I'll never forget arriving to the post office with probably at the time what was nearly 100 packages, and the sort of little old lady who was about to close on a Wednesday afternoon, sort of have her tea and her jam sandwiches, just sat there, jaw hitting the floor. But I'll tell you what, it worked. I got about 5 replies. That's all you should ever expect. A 5% return for 100 emails, I think, is a reasonable return. And it's from there that I got here. I politely badgered people. So those people that didn't get in touch after I sent the initial letter and CV and show reel, etc., I politely badgered them until most people at least spoke to me. And the people that showed an interest, I politely badgered them until they let me prove that I deserved a place in their organization. And I still maintain that mentality now. Let me in your door and I will prove to you that I am irreplaceable. And until you let me in the door to prove that, which can take a long time sometimes, it took me 3 years to get into the BBC. But until that point, it's really, really, really important to believe in yourself. You have to believe that when you cross that threshold, that you will be able to match everyone there, indeed exceed your own expectations and theirs. You go in trying to make the organisation and you better. That is the only way to thrive and survive as a journalist.
Hello, my name is Shamim Chowdhury. I've been a journalist for more than 25 years, covering TV, print and radio. I'm also a senior fellow at the John Schofield Trust. My biggest piece of advice to early career journalists is take your time honing your craft. Whether it's writing TV scripts, learning camera work, structuring features for print, or recording verticals for digital, it all takes time and lots of repetition. For example, if you're writing TV scripts, expect to spend at least a year writing simple ones before moving on to more complex stories. Confidence is important, but rushing ahead and thinking you've mastered something too soon can actually hold you back. I remember when I started out in journalism, we were expected to do the same task over and over again, whether that was gathering vox pops or cutting bits of footage or writing links. There was a lot of repetition of tasks. And I remember at the time thinking that, I've got this, I know this, I want to do something different, I want to move on now. But when I look back, that repetition was exactly what helped me properly understand and perfect the skills that I needed. And it's really served me well in the long run. But there's also another reason. If you are diligent, it will reveal the depth of your character to your bosses. It will show them that you're patient and committed to any given task, and that you're not the type of person to cut corners to reach the top. And trust me, that will get you far in the long run. So, don't be in a hurry, be patient, and perfect your craft.
My name is Naomi de Souza. I'm a senior reporter in the West Midlands. I've been a reporter for 6 years now. I think some things that I would give as advice are just be yourself and bring in as much energy as you can, especially in the early days and especially in the first few years. Know your inner new sense, know your worth. And even as you're starting out, your ideas are really important. So it is important that people from different diverse backgrounds contribute to editorial conversations, because that essentially shapes coverage. It helps your title become representative of the community that it serves, that it represents. I also think having time for people as well. When you speak to a contributor, you're not just there to get their story, you're there to pitch to them as well. It might be that someone isn't particularly sure about speaking to your title, so you have to have a strong sense of self, of who you are, what your news values are, what you represent. And I think that really pays off as well, because then you have trusted contacts, you have people that will come back to you again and again, but you also treat their story with dignity, and you are also a cog in a huge machine, but you still can make a difference by simply just being yourself and having good values. It is a constantly changing industry. AI is here, so there is a lot of doom and gloom, but I genuinely do think that you can make a huge difference by being yourself and sticking to the core news values which you develop as you develop as a reporter, and just enjoy it as well. I mean, I've been doing it for 6 years and I love it. I really do love it. And I take a step back and I sometimes think, wow, that person has just invited me into their home, told me some incredibly vulnerable and detailed information about themselves, and they've trusted me. And, that is a real privilege to be able to do that.
Hi, I'm Gary Taphouse, football commentator for Sky Sports. I always encourage people to get in touch with as many figures in the industry as possible, but it's vital to do it properly. That means do your homework on the person you're contacting, flatter them, impress them with your knowledge of their careers, tell them you really enjoyed their work on a particular recent topic or event, explain why you liked it. Then be specific about exactly what you want to get from this connection. Don't just ask for generic advice, because you'll get a generic response. Have specific questions in mind. Tell them about yourself, what you've done, what you hope to do, and exactly how they can help. Don't copy and paste the same message to numerous people. Take your time to do it properly. Read it back, check for typos, ask yourself how you'd feel to get this message. The same goes for when you're applying for a load of different jobs. It's very tempting to cut corners and blanket apply using the same cover letter and CV. But in my experience, that rarely gets you anywhere. Treat every contact and every job application separately and start from scratch each time. And it's really important to sell yourself. If you've spent 3 years studying to be a journalist, then you've earned the right to call yourself a journalist. Don't sell yourself short and say you're an aspiring journalist. You're there and you're doing it. The people you contact will often visit your LinkedIn profile or social media page, so make sure it's bang up to date and it's professional. They don't want to see pictures of your night out, but they want to see examples of your work and a concise list of your industry experience. Above all, I'd say don't get disheartened when people don't reply. It happens, and it happens to people who've been in the industry for decades. Wait 2 weeks, try again. Often people are busy and they put it on the back burner, or they might forget. So a polite nudge after a fortnight may remind them. If it doesn't, just move on. Many people do want to help. Just try and make it easy for them to say yes.
Thank you for tuning in to the John Schofield Trust podcast. For more episodes, make sure to follow us. Or if you want to know more about the Trust, head to www.johnscofieldtrust.org.uk and follow us on Instagram at John Schofield Trust. See you next time.